Good morning. It's Monday. It is Monday, and we are here on Bold Voice. I haven't seen you all in a couple of weeks, and so I am back. And I will be gone again, just so you know. But I wanted to make sure that we got together today. So I am happy to be here. I hope that the mothers had an amazing Mother's Day, that you were blessed, that you were encouraged, that families celebrated you. And for those that have lost mothers or have lost children, I pray that God is an encourager to you. So I am here again for the Bold Voice. And this morning, I just want to have a quick conversation with you to start your week, something for you to think about as usual. That's why we come together, because this is an opportunity for us, for you, for me to really dig in and think about how can we be more bold. And bold is the acrostic is breaking through obstacles to lead in our destiny. And so today on the Bold Voice, we are going to talk about bold words. What did you say? And this came out of a conversation actually that I had last week, but it has stuck with me because it's really something that I deal with. And I think that we all do to some degree deal with this whole thing of what did you say. And I'm not talking about, how you can be in a conversation with your kids or with somebody else and they say something kind of cross and you're like, what did you say? And so it's the same thing with us, with our inner dialogue. What did you say to you? And we have more conversations with ourselves than we have with anybody else, right? Because we are always in our own head. Even sleeping at night, you'll be having a dialogue or something can be running through your mind. When you're in a conversation, many times we don't communicate well because we're already somewhere else in the conversation. We're already ready with our response as opposed to really listening. And so we're always in our head in the conversation. And there's the inner dialogue, what we're saying to ourselves. And this is what I want you to think about as it relates to your inner dialogue, and even answer yourself. I remember being in the car with my son when he was little, and we were driving, and I don't know where we were going, but I remember talking to myself, and he was asleep in the back seat, and he woke up and he said, "Mom, are you talking to yourself?" And because I remember saying, "Okay, Michelle." But we have this dialogue with ourselves all the time. And I do talk to myself. It helps me. I need to process sometimes. And if I don't have somebody around to do that, I talk to myself. And so inner dialogue is always happening. But this is what I want you to think about. This is what I want you to ask yourself. I want you to ask yourself the why question. Now, I teach social work, and the why question is a question that when you ask that question, it can put people in a defensive mode, because when you ask the why question, there is an expectation that people will give you the why, and sometimes it's not what they want you to know, or it's not the answer they think that they should give. And so I want you to ask yourself the why question. Right, daughter? We talk to ourselves, don't we? Good morning. So when you ask yourself, when you're having those negative conversations with yourself, when you're saying those things to yourself that you know are not uplifting and affirming, when you have those conversations, ask yourself why. Why? Where is that coming from? And the reality is We have experiences, people have said negative words to us. We've had experiences that were not affirming to us. And those things come up in our inner dialogue. Why? Because of belief. We believe what people have said to us, especially the people that we love the most. Parents, close friends, trusted adults, because a lot of what we begin to believe and say about ourselves, we gain in our childhood. And if there have been times in our childhood where we said, negative words were spoken over us, where somebody said something that hurt us, we begin to believe what we hear about ourselves, because the people who are speaking into our lives are the people that we trust when we're children. And when you're children, that's, of course, the formative time. And so you begin to believe what's been said about you. And if it's not been positive, then your inner dialogue becomes something that somebody else said about you. And it's based on what you now believe about yourself because of those negative words. So that's why I say go back to the why question. Why am I saying to myself, I'm not good enough? Why am I saying to myself, this is never going to happen for me? Why am I saying to myself, they wouldn't want me anyway? They wouldn't choose me. Why am I saying those things to myself? That inner dialogue is all based on your belief. And so, what do you have to do? We've got to change it around. I always say this, right? I always say, no naysayers allowed. I'm saying that to you too. If you are a naysayer in your own life, that naysayer is not allowed. So when that inner dialogue is saying, hey, I'm not good enough, and they wouldn't choose me anyway, why wouldn't they choose you? Why aren't you good enough? And I bet when you ask that question, when you dig into that why question, you will recognize that you are just fine. You are good enough, and you are worthy of being chosen for whatever it is. So we have to work on our own inner dialogue. We have to work on what we believe about ourselves. And yes, there may have been some things along the way that implanted some negative beliefs, but you have the opportunity to change that around. You have the opportunity to have a different dialogue. It is now your choice what you're going to believe about you. And I would venture to say the people in your life that love you the most, the people in your life that encourage you, the people in your life that you consider friends and consider to be close to you, ask them what they think about you. Ask them. And when you ask them, it's going to be a different dialogue than that negative dialogue that you are having in your head about yourself. So change that inner dialogue. It is up to you. I'm putting you on notice today. When you start having those negative thoughts, ask yourself why. And I mean, dig deep. Why am I saying that to myself? Well, because so and so said that to me when I was this old, or this is what so and so said to me as I was growing up. But was it true? No, it wasn't true. Those negative things were not true. They're not true. So we have to work on changing our dialogue for ourselves, because at this point in the game, what you tell yourself is going to have the greatest weight, not what anybody else tells you, but what you tell yourself. So be bold in your words. Break through obstacles to lead in your destiny. So those obstacles of those negative words, you have to break them down. You have to have a different dialogue with yourself. Start with and really start to begin to, I say this all the time, think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're saying. And if you do that, you're going to recognize that the things that you're thinking about, the things that you're saying to yourself, they are connected to how you feel. They're connected to your emotions. So if you're saying negative things about yourself, you're probably going to be walking around pretty sad, pretty depressed, pretty defeated. But if you start talking positively to yourself, you're going to feel energized. You're going to feel encouraged. You're going to feel like you have the capacity to do whatever it is you want to do. And you do. You do. So I want you this week to really start today. Just start with today. Start with this first hour after you get off of this live, and begin to think about what you're saying to yourself. And then out loud, turn it around. Say something to yourself that's going to encourage you, that's going to make you feel more positive, that's going to make you feel like you do have the capacity to do what you need and want to do. Because again, you do, but it's your choice. It's your choice to change that dialogue. Okay. So, what I need you to do is allow me to help you. So, I want you to get on a discovery call with me where we talk about how you and I can work together so that you can begin to change the narrative that you're having in your head about yourself. We will talk about my program, Bold Voice, where you become a bold voice for yourself. You have the capacity, and I am here to help you to do that. So please go ahead and let me put this link in the comments so that you can go ahead, click on this link, and schedule your discovery call with me. It's time. It's time to stop having the negative self-talk, because at the end of the day, who is that? That's not God. That is the enemy lying to you and wanting you to stay in that place of being stuck so that you never actually move past that negative dialogue that's going on in your head, because it will keep you right where you are. But I tell you this, and I know this, God has more for you. He has more for you. So get on this call with me. Let's get together. Let me help you to walk through your process, to break down the obstacles, to change the inner dialogue, and to begin to move forward with that, in that purpose that is designed for you, with confidence, not with this back and forth about, am I good enough? Yes, you are good enough. All right. So I'm so glad to be back with you all again today. I may not be here next Monday, but watch my feed. I will post it there. If I am gonna be here next Monday. But I did want to come on and have this conversation about, what did you say? Ask yourself, what did you say? Just like you would ask somebody else when they say something cross. What did you say? But ask yourself, and then ask yourself, why am I having that negative conversation with myself? What am I believing that is not true? And now it's time for you to change the narrative and begin to say what is true about you, and base that on what God says about you, right? He says you're the head and not the tail. You're above and not beneath. He says you're the apple of his eye. He loves you and he has something great for you. But we've got to work with the Lord to be able to walk out the process and the purpose that he's ordained for us. All right. All right. Well, you all have an amazing day. Start speaking those bold words over your life. Start now paying attention to that inner dialogue, and make sure that you reach out to me, get on a discovery call so that we can begin this journey to your bold voice. I'm Dr. Michelle. I'm your transformation strategist, and I assist women to be bold, to break through obstacles, to lead in their destiny. And we do that by helping them to reconnect with their true self, to rediscover purpose and passion, realign with values and strengths, and do a reset so you can move from where you are to where you want to be with authentic confidence. Can't wait to talk to you again. You all have an amazing Monday and have a great week.